The biggest prisoner swap since the end of the Cold War has taken place between Russia and the West. Those who've been freed include the Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich and also the former US Marine Paul Whelan, as well as prominent Kremlin critics and anti-war campaigners. President Biden welcomed their release and said their brutal ordeal is over. Here's our Russia editor, Steve Rosenberg.
He was out of jail, but not free yet. Reporter Evan Gershkovich and former US Marine Paul Whelan. He'd spent more than 5 years in a Russian prison. But this was the start of their journey to freedom. Along with other prisoners to be swapped, they were flown to Ankara Airport in Turkey. And the stage was set for the largest prisoner swap since the Cold War. Those Moscow had released went one way. The Russians they'd been exchanged for boarded their plane home. The swap involved 26 people being held in 7 different countries. As well as Evan Gershkovich and Paul Whelan, Moscow freed US-Russian journalist Alsu Kurmasheva. Also, prominent Kremlin critics, including Vladimir Karamurza, Oleg Orlov and Ilya Yashin, and an anti-war artist, Sasha Skachelenko. Swapped, among others, for this man, convicted assassin Vadim Krasikov, identified by German officials as a Russian agent.
To set up a prisoner swap.
Evan Gershkovich's boss says she's overjoyed to see her reporter free, but
it feels all wrong to be trading people who are entirely innocent for, a convicted criminal, an assassin. But, we wanted our man back. Paul Whelan wanted his freedom, understandably. So I think it puts governments in an impossible position.
Flanked by relatives of the freed Americans, at the White House, President Biden gave his reaction.
It says a lot about the United States that we work relentlessly to free Americans who are unjustly held around the world. It also says a lot about us that this deal includes the release of Russian political prisoners. They stood up for democracy and human rights. Their own leaders threw them in prison. The United States helped secure their release as well.
America accuses Moscow of jailing US citizens to trade them for Russians jailed abroad. For the families and friends of Evan Gershkovich, Paul Whelan, and dissidents like Vladimir Karamurza, this is a moment to celebrate. But keep in mind, for the Kremlin, it is mission accomplished. It got what it wanted. It got its agents back. For Moscow, the takeaway from all of this will be that hostage diplomacy works. And that means we're likely to see more of it. More prisoners here being used as bargaining chips. Tonight, President Putin gave a hero's welcome to the returning Russians, among them spies and sleeper agents. He clearly thinks he got a good deal. Steve Rosenberg, BBC News, Moscow.